All right. Yeah. Placement, timing.
I believe you with these guys, yeah? Okay. Andy, what's going on? Good. Were you under a particular group?
No.
Oh, here we go. Okay, hang on. We've got you on 14, which is down there. Is that cool?
In the corner.
Yeah, so, yep, is that all right? Yep. And Hendy's on that corner as well. Right?
What did you put him on 14 for?
Dude, I don't know who's who. Yeah, as in, like, I don't organise the list, right?
No, but like, he's a big fella on a small
I know,
scale.
I can't help it. Okay.
Been a while. Good to see you. Yeah, good.
Take it with Christian. I think. Good. Okay. All right.
By the way, we're
live.
We have to go live at 7, otherwise it cancels the stream.
Yeah. It is live, isn't it?
We're live.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. All good. Sorry, what was the name again? That was, yeah? That's it. Okay, cool. All good. Couldn't remember. All good. Done. We got everyone. These extras. So he's coming. Okay, and then you'll be on that end chair, is that right? If you wanted to put your jacket out there, we could put it in this area. So it's up to you. Yeah, sure. Head on through. Thank you. Welcome forward.
For those tuning in live, we're about to kick off.
Full house. All right. So look, we've got one person. These are
What's going on? Yes, that is true.
all right.
That's why they get the big bucks, right? 6 minus 5.
All right. Hello. Welcome everyone. It is a very packed room. If it gets a little bit warm down this end, let us know. We'll crack that window as well because it's got the door open to pass things through. Very full house tonight, as you can tell. My name is Matt, and of course, his name is Matt, so you can't really mix us up. Welcome to our, August Outturn preview.
September.
September.
September preview.
Yeah, September preview. It doesn't matter. All good. We got a full table of whiskies. Matt's going to run you through everything and anything tonight, so I'm actually going to have a bit of a rest, although we'll be taking a few photos. Hendy's down here taking a few photos tonight. Jonathan will probably be taking a few photos tonight. And in fact, this is also being streamed live right now. So we're
wait for the camera. There we go. Wait for the TV. There we go.
We're bumping it over to Captain's Balcony's Facebook page, but also the society pages, just so people can have a look at what's going on. Listen in on a little bit of a preview. So please feel free to. We are mic'd up. It does pick up everything that's going on. Feel free to shout out and talk and do whatever you do. Just no heavy profanities is appreciated. Look,
soft profanity, just soft profanity.
Thanks for Matt, of course, coming up for this preview in particular. There's a few things that Matt's going to cover off in regards to what's happening with the gathering discussions that we've got as well. But this is our fifth. Gosh, is this our fifth outturn now? We've done fifth, fourth or fifth?
Yeah.
Okay. And we'll be hopefully continuing these till the end of the year, every month. So we'll give you a good preview of what's going on. Obviously, you already know that we're a partner bar. We've got plenty of whiskies downstairs, plenty of society whiskies, of course. They are building up, but they're also depleting as things go. Come back anytime. try whatever whiskies you want at any time from Society. As Society members, for those that are Society members, of course, you get granted that 10% on any Society whiskies at any time that you come through. But of course, every Wednesday night anyway is also a 10% off. But don't get cheeky and try and double down on the 10 on 10. It doesn't work that way. But nonetheless, it's already getting warm in here. Actually, we might crack that window down that end if you guys don't mind.
The window.
The window. Crack the window.
The window.
But anyway, so look, we got some food on the table. Obviously, these are all cask strength whiskies, very, very heavy. So no one driving tonight, hopefully. If you want to actually order any food from the menu, let us know. But we'll sort of start taking orders for extra food towards the end of the tasting as opposed to in the middle, because clearly our tables can't take it. The bathroom is downstairs, bottom level. So you're going to take 2 flights of stairs down, take a left, straight past the kitchen. That's where the bathroom is. And for anyone that may, in fact, be a smoker these days, it's getting rarer. Look, there's smoking on the balcony, there's smoking outside, but we prefer, if possible, you can hold off until after we finish the tasting so that the room isn't tainted with the smell of tobacco through that period. So outside of that, I'm going to leave things with Matt to keep chatting through. I'll probably jump in and out and annoy him a little bit.
Yeah, good.
But you know what?
Yeah.
Way you go.
Yeah,
You
sure.
do it this time as opposed to me.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, thank you. This is great. I realize it's a very mixed group of people, and there's some people in here that I've known for years who are regular Society members and love what we do. And then there are some people in here who are non-whiskey drinkers. Are there any non-whiskey drinkers in the room? And I saw it. Okay, sorry. I'm not singling you out. It's fine. Okay, but there are some who are less familiar with good single malt appreciation, I guess. And so we might touch on some of the basics, but at the same time go through some of what's in front of us. I'm not one of those presenters that likes to talk an awful lot before we even get to the first dram. So let's pick one up. Let's pick up number 1 on the bottom left. Now you'll notice you've got a menu that has 5 whiskies in it. Yeah, I almost got the number wrong. We have a menu that has 5 whiskies in front of you, and you have 6 whiskies in front of you. There is one that I brought as a bit of a surprise, which is the whole purpose of one of the purposes of tonight was because, let me put it this way. This is gathering month coming September. September is tomorrow. Outturn is Friday. And Outturn is our monthly catalogue of whiskies that we offer up to members with. What's that? Are we okay? Did we lose any? No.
Yep. We'll use one of these.
So Outturn is our monthly catalogue of goodies from the Society. We offer about 15 to 20 different casks every month for members. And I'll talk a bit more about what that is and what that means as we go along tonight. But where we're going to start tonight is something for us to sip on, a bit of a sort of almost like a welcome dram tonight after the cocktail, which is a welcome cocktail. Every dram tonight can be a welcome whiskey, why not? So this is the first one on the bottom left is Duro Cruise, which is this colourful looking bottle here. We do a series of releases each year, about 3, 4, 5 releases a year, which we call our heresy releases. These are outside our core range. These are experimental oddities that the Society like to work on. They're often blended malts. They're sometimes even blended cognacs, sometimes single malts in this case, a 10-year-old single malt, but matured in ex-ruby port pipes. So this is a single malt from one distillery. It's a batch of casks put together like every other single malt, but it's bottled at 50% ABV. So it's a nice port cask whiskey, just one to start us off. And this is an upcoming release. This is not in your September outturns. I don't think I think we might see this in October or something like that, or November. I'm not sure just yet, but it's one that we're sort of doing a bit of a preview tonight for you to have a taste of, because I was supposed to bring the gathering cask that was named by a member in Sydney, Mark Garraway. There he is, who named our gathering cask for this year, and he named it Snickerdoodle. That is coming shortly. We can thank our friends over at DHL and Air Freight for it not being here. We are bringing the whole cask over as always, and including the spirit, the bottles, the wood, all of it comes over at once. But we just have to play with customs on this kind of stuff. And when you import timber, they don't like you very much. So this is an opportunity for us to taste something a little bit different. take us on a bit of a journey through different flavors with Duro Cruise. This is a 10-year-old, 50% ABV, predominantly ruby port cask. Now, the reason this actually collaboration, this particular release came about is because we've picked up a lot of interesting casks lately at the Society. In fact, at the Scotch Malt Whisky Society, currently we have just over 68 different types of wood maturing in our warehouse, which is pretty unbelievable. Like if you think about how you could say off the top of your head, you could say ex-bourbon, ex-port, ex-sherry. Maybe there's 3 or 4 or 5 types of sherry you could be maturing in there. So maybe that's 5, 6, 7. Name a few others, and you've got maybe 10. We're at about 68, which encompasses about 40-something thousand casks across hundreds of different distilleries, and it's a cool opportunity for us to work with these distilleries and work with these types of casks and actually play around with a bit of spirit. I have a fairly good guess on what this spirit is, but actually I'd love to hear what you guys think of what this is. What you like of it? Do you like it? It's 50. Do we like it? Yeah. There you go. That's all you need to know. They're cheaper releases, these ones for us. They generally hover around that sort of 140 to 160 range, and they're just they're an experimental sort of chance for us to play around with different wood policy. They sort of form the experimentation for what we work on with the single casks after that in years to come. That'll be an important point later on as we go on actually tonight. Some of the experimentation that we've been working on. Question?
So obviously you're blending, I don't know, a bunch of different casks of this.
Yeah.
Do you still keep it around cask strength, or do you always do it 50%?
There was one at 45. There was one at 52. It's generally where it just sits best. It's sort of like Ewan likes it around 50 because they're just a good. I think 50 is a great drinking strength. It's like it's like I don't drink much whiskey above 65 or stuff. It gets a bit sort of too visceral, and that sort of like well, not for breakfast at least. Yeah. Yeah, well, after breakfast, after you had orange juice. But yeah, 50, I think Ewan just likes that as a drinking strength, he calls it. I like that, because this is not the kind of whiskey you need to add water to. I wouldn't add water to this if I were you. It's a good, nice, well-rounded 50% ABV. 40 is just playing with tax departments. 43 should be your base minimum. 46 is acceptable, and 50 is where it's at. Well, 40 is just playing with the ATO, isn't it? At this point, yeah. So those unfamiliar with the society, those who are members, who here in the room is a member of the society? I know, okay, most of us are. There's a few of you who aren't, though. I'm going to predominantly talk to this table, but thinking about joining, you of course can welcome. You're always welcome to join. And what was that?
I used to be a member when I was landed in London.
Oh, in London. Did you know there was a branch here? There you go. Now you do. There you go. Now we can always transfer. We can always transfer UK membership as well. Yeah, if you maintain it over there, we can always transfer over here. It works both ways as well. We have members who move to the UK who take their membership over there. Yes, I'll just touch on that briefly. We're celebrating 39 years this year, or 40 years next year. And 20 years of the Australian branch running. So this year is the 20th anniversary of the Australian branch. We'll hear a lot more about that in October this year, which is our 20th anniversary month. 2002 for the Australian branch, but 1983 for the UK, where it was founded by Pip Hills, who bought a cask of whiskey, basically, in a nutshell version, bought a cask. After drinking, he said about a gallon of Glenfarclas at cask strength with a friend of his at a farm. And fell in love with it, and because he said he woke up with no hangover. The cows. Yeah. But it started with cask 1.1, and the rest is history. Nothing really has much has changed in the ethos of what we're about. It's about coming together with friends. It's about having this community of members around the world and around Australia, and that's what the society is about. It's sharing good whiskey. Whether it be something weird and oddity like this, the bottle keeps disappearing. Duro Cruise, I don't know where it is now. So it's going around the room. That's okay. Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't me. Yeah. And like I said, a chance for us to explore flavour and taste good whiskey. So we might move on to number 2 in just a moment, but I'll let you just enjoy that first one for a bit. Did you have a taste? Yeah. Yeah.
Your action wasn't good.
We're getting there. We're getting there. The naming system. Numbering. Yeah, sure. So we use a numbering system on the casks, not for Duro Cruise because that's experimental, but we use a numbering system. So the first number indicates the distillery, and the second number indicates the code, as in like the cask. Sorry. So 113.47 means that's the 113th distillery to join the society, and the 47 means it's the 47th cask we've bottled. Now we may have been offered up 48, and we've only ever rejected one, maybe. Or we may have been offered up 4,000, and we've only bottled 47. It's only what the panel passes blind. It's not what is just offered. In fact, for those interested in the nerdy stuff about the tasting panel, last year we rejected 53, 54, somewhere in there, high 53% of what was offered up to the tasting panel as not good enough. So we only bottle what the tasting panel. It's only bottled what the tasting panel approved for bottling. So it's the distillery name is kept out of it. So the distillery name in this case is 113 for this next whiskey, because for two reasons really. One is that we can guarantee supply from those distilleries if we're not working against their marketing, if you like. And the second reason is then you can focus on flavor of whiskey rather than brand. Not interested in the brand. It could be something. It could be a Port Ellen. It could be a Glen. It doesn't matter what it is. All that matters is, do you enjoy it? Do the tasting notes make sense? Do you find something enjoyable about it? Would you share it with friends? The end. And it really should be that simple. It should be flavor based, not I love this brand or I love that brand.
So if you want to go buy an arbor, go buy an arbor. You know, we're not selling arbor, we're selling whiskey, and so our focus is the flavor.
Yes, everything's kept anonymous to the tasting panel, including the cask type, the age, everything, because they're assessing on merits and quality of spirit rather than everything. They might be informed of the proof, so that they know, or the peating level. So they leave peated whiskey till later, like we're going to tonight, and they'll taste the lighter stuff first, so you're not absolutely obliterating your palate before you start. But otherwise, no, they kept like. In fact, they go so far. I've seen the glassware they often taste it in. It's blue, so it's like opaque blue, so you can't even see the color of the whiskey, because color affects how we interpret whiskey as well, whether we like to think it does or not. I've been working in whiskey for 10 plus years, and I still like to think I'm above that, but I still get influenced by color. Everyone does. It's darker is better. It's like, well, that's not really. It just means different cask influence and different. Yeah. Woola. Yeah, and comments coming through. Yeah. Mark, I'm going to answer that question you asked on YouTube in just a second.
Any hints on the Duro?
Like which distillery it is?
Yeah.
You tell me.
Well, we have that there might be, I was going to say partners, but not partners. What do you say?
Ben Rennes.
Glen Murray.
Glen Murray. That's not Glen Murray. I know that much. All right. Okay. Let's pick up whiskey number 2, which is 113.47, a picnic pour. This is what I would call a Matt Bailey dram. This is my kind of whiskey. Underdog Distillery, 12-year-old spicy and sweet. So much going on from a distillery that no one knows about nor cares about or has anything going on with it. I'm going to pour myself a little bit of that one. Okay, a picnic pour. What? Okay. 113.47. Now, this is the 47th cask of this distillery ever bottled at the Society. We had a great comment come on the live stream. Someone asked, what happens to the casks that are rejected, the 53% that are rejected each year, last year? A lot of them are rejected because they're just not ready. They might come across as a bit young, a bit sort of spirit-driven still. It's like, let them sit for another 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, whatever, 10 years, 20 years, whatever. A lot of it will be rejected because it's just not ready. Some of it will get rejected because it's just never going to be good enough. And that reject rate will be often sold off to blenders or other places. No. No one said that. But I mean, you said it. Yeah, no. Well, anyway, it is sold off to some blenders and some bottlers elsewhere. But most of the time, it's not ready. But if it's deeply flawed, it's not going to get bottled. So 113. This is. I'll probably end up having to say the distillery names. I try not to because it takes the sort of the intrigue out of it a bit. Grays. Okay, well, it's Breville Distillery. It's a Bravel Distillery. It's the Breville Distillery. Naval? Breville? That's right. Naval does rhyme with naval. Okay, this is Breville Distillery. I'll tell you a little bit about it. It was founded in 1973. This is definitely a modern distillery. This distillery was built by Seagram, and it was designed to keep up with Glenlivet. So this distillery is basically a competition distillery. This is a Seagram company going, how come Glenlivet's doing so well? How come everything's Glenlivet, everything? So how do we keep up with them? Oh, we'll create our own distillery. We'll call it Breville. Or in fact, they called it Braves of Glenlivet at the time. And so it was called the Braves of Glenlivet Distillery. It's quite a modern facility that is designed to try and keep up with Glenlivet. But over the years, Seagram lost it. It went to Remy Cointreau for a while, and then now is owned by Pernod Ricard. So this distillery is an integral part of Chivas Regal. So this is a cask that we've picked out from this distillery. We've got a good supply with Pernod's distilleries, and we pick out a cask and then bottle it for our members. And this for me it's called a picnic pour. I can't think of a better name for this kind of whiskey. It's kind of whiskey you'd want to open a bottle at a picnic and enjoy. It's very floral, very bright, and not only do you not see this as a single malt ever, you rarely see even independent bottlings of this kind of spirit. So it's kind of cool to even taste this. It's a distillery that you wouldn't otherwise see. It's very good. You can have a private conversation. Yeah, no microphone. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? I love it though. I actually want a bottle of this. It's lovely. Well, it's not Friday yet. It's true. It's true. Very nice. I love it. I actually really love it. It's like, just imagine having this on a Sunday picnic. It's a Sunday picnic dram. It's a bottle you take to the picnic and enjoy. Just delicious, delightful. Well, maybe in Sydney, yeah.
3 bottles is it for ordering? Yep.
Yeah, let's just cap it at 3 for each.
With the priority of 1.
Yeah, no one can order doubles or anything, especially that last one. The only one that's an exception of the rule is the 35, the old one. People can have many of that as they want.
Which one? Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's on. Is that on society discount? 50%?
I heard it's $29 a bottle.
We're not in polite society, but I like mine cold. Is there any chance of some hot chocolate?
Have you tried adding a few drops of water? You still want it a little bit colder? We can probably try something for you. I can get some small ice if you want. Yeah. He's on it. It's not really frowned upon at all. I mean, it's like, I always say, drink it how you want it. It doesn't matter. I mean, everyone's like, oh, you shouldn't drink it with the ice or Coke or Fanta. If you buy a $10,000 bottle of whiskey and you want to mix it with Diet Coke, go for it. You know what I mean? It's your bottle. I don't care. I really don't care. Yeah. Hello. Oh, hello.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, it's capturing sound. It's all right. It doesn't take photos. I know what you like with all that. It's all right. You're too far away from it. You're going to be a blur at this stage. You will be. It's okay. That's a very low-res camera.
Maybe you do the naked gun thing and go to the loo and just
The Frank Drebin, yeah. Actually, you almost could with this. Yeah. Have you added some water? The water nearly killed you. It works well. Enjoy how you enjoy it. If it breaks on, hey, ladies and gentlemen. All right. It's a thirsty crowd, and I'm being egged to move on. Otherwise, I'd just be sitting enjoying my drams all night with you. Cask 78.55 is your number 3 on your tasting mat, so your top left. Now, this is called Slow Sapid Surrender, and it's in our spicy and dry flavor profile. This is a September preview bottling as well. This one's out this Friday. Distillery 78 has got a bit of a cult following more recently. I'm going to say it, I'll say it out loud. It's Ben Nevis Distillery. This is a distillery. It was founded in 1825, really in that boom era of the early 1800s, by Long John MacDonald, and is one of those distilleries that for many years supplied blends in Scotland. Of course, it still supplies blends in Scotland. It was Long John. It was actually a blend called Long John throughout for a long time that you could find up until about the mid-90s. That was a fantastic blended whiskey that incorporated this spirit. The distillery itself was purchased by Nikka in 1989, and since 1990 has been supplying blends in Japan as well. It's only more recently that's become something of a controversy, but it's been going on for 30 years already. But it's not new news. They've been doing it for a long time. It was surplus. We've got to understand what whiskey looked like in 1989, 1990. This is peak blended whiskey. This is peak blends of the world. So this is like single malts. There was probably, in 1990, there's probably maybe a dozen single malt brands on market that you could find. And that would be your Glenlivets, your Macallans, your Highland Parks, and whatnot. And not even Glenrothes yet, actually. There were brands like that, but there wasn't actually any... blends were still king. Blended whiskey was still the absolute bread and butter of the industry. So Japan saw that happen. Scotland saw that happen in the early 80s. Japan saw it happen in the early 90s. So by that time, they needed more supply. So what do you do when you really quickly need more supply? You don't build a distillery, you just buy one. So they bought Ben Nevis, and they kept that supply going from Ben Nevis. And in our case, it became Distillery 78. And we're bottling this, and this is only 55 casks since we were founded. We've had a couple recently of 78, and we've got a lot to come actually in the next few years, which is really exciting. But I think this is a fun whiskey. It's a much more savoury drop than where we've just been. The last picnic pour has a lovely sort of spice and sweet note, which I quite like. 113 is my jam. I love that bottle. I've actually not properly tried this yet. This is a September preview. I'm going to give this a go at the same time as you guys. The what? Oh, is it? No. I didn't get all the Ben Nevis factoids. I'm sorry. Have we had a nose of this one yet? It's a bit more savoury, a bit more biscuity. A bit of banana notes, yeah? Have you nosed it? Have you tasted it? Yeah? Yeah. The banana notes. I hereby bestow you a whiskey drinker. Like banana flavor profile in there. There's a bit of banana. That's going to be the barley. That's a barley profile that shines through, which you often find on younger whiskeys like this, like an 8-year-old whiskey. Get that lovely banana estery kind of notes, which I love in a whiskey, but might not be typical. Yeah, see, and when someone says they taste like sweet, like brown sugar sweets or something, that's usually cask. And so it's different flavor elements often come from different aspects. Some will be from both, that's the magic. That's when the magic happens, when spirit and cask meet right in the middle. But that doesn't matter. That's the panel notes. Your notes are banana. Everyone gets their own subjective. Everyone's got their own subjective palate. Is there a food that you particularly like or particularly despise, for instance? I hate coriander. Yeah. No, but it's like, you might detect that in some spirit where others won't as well, and vice versa.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So Jesse Morgan's just confirmed that the back table is a blur, which is what Rebecca wanted.
Okay, right.
It's all right, Rebecca. Jesse in the live stream says he heard the conversation and it is a blur back here.
You're an absolute blur.
You're a blur.
So what you see is what they see as well.
Well, it'd be rude not to.
Well, that's right. That's where you want
Special shout out to Mark Teague for his captions, and a special shout out to everyone watching on YouTube, on Facebook, who are joining in virtually. Even though you might not be drowning on this, might learn a few things about the actual tasting as we go along.
What are you talking?
The live stream.
Oh, I was like, what's going on here?
I'm on a live stream.
Man, I like the second one, man.
Second one's good. Give me number 3.
It's a bit light. Flavor.
Oh, the second one, picnic pour. Yeah. It's pretty spirit-driven Nevis. Very cool. Because I've tasted a bunch of Ben Nevis over the last couple of years, where I've been 23 or 15-year-old Ben Nevis, and it's like, yeah, that's cool, but it's so much cask in a good, nice way. But the distillate on that is just stunning, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it must be. Yeah, it keeps evolving. It's a tasty drop. 8-year-old casting Nevis. Yeah, exactly. But the first fill, isn't it? Yeah. 59.4%. Yeah. It's lovely. Yeah. It's It's lovely distillate. They're the only distillery in Scotland still to use brewer's yeast, and it's old school like production method. It's lovely. You seem pretty keen.
Well, I've still got 3 more this side. I've got 3.
A bit of both.
Got to get him out of here as quick as possible.
Wool is getting a bit hot under the collar because Matt Bailey's in town. I get that a lot. That's okay. All right, let's move on.
All right, everyone. Let's keep our discussion flowing. We've had 3 whiskeys so far, so we might actually be. Are you sure?
3+.
Let's just see what people's raised hands are at the moment, because we've still got 3 to go. Whose favourite so far is number 1? That's we got a couple. Yeah, it's all right. It's okay if you like it, even if no one else does. Number 2. Number 2. Yeah. Okay. Cool. And number 3. Yeah. I'm not surprised about number 3. Number 3 is pretty interesting. I was having a chat to these guys down the end there. It's really cool that the nose is very, very different to the flavour and the profile, and even after you've drunk it, the nose remains what it originally was. And quite often, whiskies will change totally depending on what you've had in your mouth or even drinking that at that time. For me, it's really textural, but I can't quite place what's going on with those flavours. It's just interesting, but I was constantly going back to it. Has anyone added water to any of their whiskeys so far? Jonathan has. We've got a few. What are the results so far? Are things performing better with water or without? Much better with ice.
3 with 2 cheese.
3 scuba cheese. It's good to see that you're playing with the pairing. For those that may not know, and I'm not sure whether Matt had actually mentioned it, we do have some pipettes on the tables. You'll see them in the glasses in case you want to add a little bit of water as you go. So we're going to move on now to the 3rd whiskey. I'll let Matt take over what's going on here. 4th whiskey. You don't want the 3rd one again?
Yeah.
Okay, we're moving on. You want the 3rd one again? Water? What is it? Oh, what is the water? Dad's
Water.
Okay. We're going to jump into this now. This is our somewhat mystery whiskey that we're having tonight, in order to substitute for the problems that we've had with the gathering bottles at the moment. So, Matt, take over. Go for it. Let us know what's going on.
Matt Wooler called me last week and said, "Will the gathering bottling be here in time?" And I said, "Maybe. That's not up to me. That's up to a multitude of airlines and customs departments."
I think there was a lot of F-bombs in.
Yeah. I was pretty frustrated by that. We should have it by Friday. This week for Outturn, thankfully. I can't get it by tonight. It was really stretching it. It's somewhere in Sydney right now. I know that much. Yeah. Oh yeah, Express Post. Yeah. You can always rely on Australia Post. Yes. For anyone here who works at Australia Post, I'm sorry, but it's okay. Okay. So he said bring something special along to share around. That would be appreciated. Sorry, Matt asked me to bring something along that would be appreciated in place of the gathering bottling just for now. And this is something that we actually popped into August Outturn. So this is something that was, I had a bottle in my office and I thought, why not share it around? This is 35.295, a 26-year-old mythical and magical. This is a first fill toasted oak hogshead, 26-year-old, old and dignified. Now, I just want to touch on the history behind this whiskey. This is some of my favorite whiskey. I'm already a fan of the 35s, but when we've had these 24, 25, 26-year-old toasted oak hogsheads out of them, they are phenomenal. Now, there's a cool piece of history behind this particular batch of casks, because 1994, the society was about 10, 11 years of age, and there was a gentleman working at the society called Dr. Bill Lumsden. He was doing some work for us as a spirits consultant, cask procurer. This was, at the time, this distillery, Glen Distillery, was a bit of a sandbox distillery for Mo Hennessy. And he was using this distillery to sort of test out projects and work on things before he'd take them over to Glenmorangie or Ardbeg. And this was that era of, I'll pass that bottle around and take a look at it. Go around this way this time. This was a sort of an era where these toasted oak or designer oak hogsheads, as they were calling them then, we've reverted back to toasted oak, were part of building the structure of that the output of those casks that we end up seeing later on as casks 125.1 to 125.10, which was the Glenmorangie casks we saw early on, much later on, I should say. So this was sort of almost like experimental spirit for Glenmorangie. These casks these toasted oaks hogsheads were never made their way into their core range. You never saw sort of a core range Glenmorangie toasted oak edition. We saw Chardonnay casks, we saw Chenin Blanc, we saw sherry, we saw all sorts of stuff come out in the core range. We never actually, mountain oak as well. Anyway, but this was a very experimental period at the Society of building those casks and building that profile. And the fact that we're able to actually have 26-year-old first fill whiskey is quite insane. I mean, like every whiskey that age is always refill, because first fill would have overwhelmed it. But this is that lovely, rich toasted oak kind of profile that spirit took on. And I don't know, I think this is a cool piece of distilling history. It's a piece of distilling art, if you like, that otherwise we haven't seen before, and formed the basis, if you're interested as well, for the research that went into the product called Astar. Unfortunately, no one bought Glenmorangie Astar, so it got killed off. That no one liked it. I loved it. Everyone loved Astar. Exactly. Astar was great. Astar was a great whiskey, but this formed the basis of that research that we were able to reap early on with Bill, and actually work on that result, which is great. And that formed the basis of the relationship of the society ended up being bought by Moe Hennessy just a year after this period in 1995. No, I'm getting the dates wrong. 2005, 10 years later. So we were owned by LVMH for 10 years, and that's when I joined at the tail end of that, and then we've been 7 years independent ever since 2015. Pass that around. But this is something special, something old and dignified to share around, and the nose on this is phenomenal. This is one of my favorite nosing whiskies. Yeah. No, number 4, top right. I should have said. Number 4, top right.
I was over thinking of when you said this in the 6th class or the night.
Oh, right. No. Yeah. Are you causing trouble, sir? Would you like to be removed from the bed? No. Get security.
Matt, what's the percentage? What's the ABV?
Low 50s.
50?
470. Is that above or below what you expected?
57.4.
57.4, sorry. For a full, yeah, it's a cool bottle.
Is that on the ordering list?
No. Well, I like to actually. I love that kind of knowing if you think that's a blah 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 what you thought it would be. I mean, because I don't know what what should a 26-year-old cask strength single cask be these days? I mean, it's a 25-year-old whiskey would often be $500-600 these days commercially.
You say about $120 society members,
Including the post.
Oh, free post. Oh. Straight from 1994. 470. I could throw in free post on that one. Again, big shout out to Mark Teague. Thanks, mate. Whiskey is my jam. If you're not following Whiskey is my jam, you definitely should.
Can you send one to the bar?
Do you want one?
Can you remember? Will you remember?
I'll remember. I don't forget. I've got elephant brain. He's the one he's Mr. Forgetful. Don't worry about him. I don't forget anything.
Yo! Oh!
I'm very busy, all right? I'm very busy.
We might not.
Did you get a notification?
Oh, you did?
Good.
Todd Rod sorted out. Come on.
I want to steal.
No, that was mine.
I put this for you.
Steal
I'll drink both.
Then bring it back, right?
All
All right.
Around the corner.
Now, I'm not rushing you guys along, but I do want to cover something off that we
Little National.
need to now start to sort of talk about.
Great.
You will
Modern
notice
hotel
on the
right above
table,
Windy
for those
Station.
that have been here regularly, we do have an opportunity
Great hotel.
for advanced ordering for members of what's coming up with the Outturn. Now, as part of this advanced ordering that we have, there is always a limitation on the amount that we're actually able to sell because there's society members all over Australia that are waiting until Friday to actually make orders. But you'll notice that this particular whiskey is not on the menu, but you can order it. And in fact, we don't have a limit on how many you might feel like ordering. So if you want to order like 5, you can order 5. For the other whiskies, you can only order 1. And what we do also run into, unfortunately, with those other whiskies that you can order, even though this room is so big, is that we only have a limit of 3 bottles of each that can be ordered complete on the night. So it's not a lot. It really is a first in best dress. But if you are too cheeky and you put every single bottle on your order form and you are the first one that orders in, we're not going to honor all of those because especially if there's other people that would like to get it. But if you are the first person that orders in and no one else does order anything extra on top of that, yes, you will get that bottle. But I just wanted to make that sort of clear. You got the order forms. I can get some pens for you if you really are interested. That's cool. No pressure otherwise. Yes, Andy. Now, the Glen Murray is, Matt was saying, Matt. Wait, there's something
No.
extra. Matt,
Yes.
the Glen Murray,
Yes.
470?
470.
470, but we're gonna not double down, but as Matt had confirmed to me, if you do order this bottle, there'll be no extra postage charge on top of that, which is only $15. I know, but on $470, it's not much of a big deal.
You don't have one?
But I don't know, man. If you were to order like 10 other bottles at the same time, that free postage on all of them, you know. But anyway, that's just to go. So look, I'll just one more time. I'll just make it very, very clear. It is first in best dress. So if someone hands me their forms now, it goes into an order on pile. So, but look, don't just jump in if you haven't tasted things either. We don't want you to make that mistake. So that's all. You've got the order forms in front of you. They do need to be handed to us at the end of tonight, not tomorrow or next week or whenever like that. All right. So look, I think Matt might be keen to move on to the next whiskey. Are you guys all ready to go for the next whiskey?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going back to another comparably modern distillery again now. Distillery 107.24 Oven Ready Moomin. An 8-year-old sherry butt. First fill sherry butt here. This distillery was, again, the sort of, I guess, was born out of the craze of blending, needing to expand in the 1980s in Scotland, 70s, 80s in Scotland. This is Glen Alecky Distillery. It has actually become it's getting a bit of cult following now, thanks to the Midas touch of Billy Walker. who sort of made his fame out of bringing Ben Riach and Glen and Glen Glasgow to a certain extent back to life. He then sold those 3 distilleries to Brown Forman for an insane amount of money and bought Alecky for probably pennies on the pound. And then he's now reviving that as a single malt. What is actually kind of cool, if you rewind back through the society's history on this distillery, 107, Distillery 107, if you rewind back through the society's history, 107.1 was a single cask, single malt whiskey, so single malt whiskey, was bottled of Alecky before Alecky did. We beat them to their own game, if you like, of their own spirit. Because this is it's kind of cool that it was their whiskey that was all just kind of blenders. And even it's only just recently they've really got a single malt brand. Very recently, like 3-4 years ago, something like that. I can't keep track. 4 years ago. When did Alecky first appear as a single malt? Was it like 2018 or something? Something like that. Look, so it's like he bought a distillery, inherited a lot of stock, and is bottling a lot of it now. But we've got a good relationship with this new setup, and so we're picking out some casks at the moment, like this sherry butt, this 8-year-old sherry butt that we've picked up quite a few sherry butts of. This is not your usual sherried whiskey. Let's put it that way. This is not your usual sherried whiskey distillery, or distillate, I should say. It's a very heavy sulfuric kind of spirit. It's often comes across as a little bit sort of like pencil shavings and sort of like heavy malt character. It's one of those kind of sherry styles that is a love it or hate it kind of thing I find for a lot of people. If you're looking for that really sort of classic old school 43% clean old school Macallan sherry note, it's the opposite of that. So if you like that sort of contemporary sherry note, which is like in this style, this oven ready Moomin, it does say on the front, powerful, deeply complex, syrupy dark sugars, fruits, umami, savory delight. That perception that sherried whiskies are always sweet needs to be thrown out. It's not a thing. Sorry.
No, it's all right.
Sherried whiskies can often be quite savory, umami flavors. Yes?
But Andy was asking about the sulfur.
Which is a cask sulfur?
It's usually, in this case, a spirit. It's a spirit. So it's a very heavy spirit. I was lucky enough to taste some Alecky new make about 2 years ago, which is very sort of, it's a very heavy spirits type. It's a very unusual distillate. But I think it's kind of fun because it was, I'm guessing this would have been a tricky distillate to play with in terms of blending. Pernod had this distillery for a long time, didn't do a lot with it. In fact, their distillate they ran off this went into everything except Shivers. So it went into 100 Pipers, went into Passport, went into all these cheap blends for a long time. What was the other one? 100 Pipers, Passport. A couple of other blends that Pernod owned the rights on. They used the spirit for. But as a single malt, it's only just recently come into its own. And that's thanks to, as I say, the Midas touch of belly that people seem to love. So not really, it's like I say, it's a divisive kind of sherry. It's much more on that sort of like seaweedy, umami kind of flavors in a sherry whiskey, which can be fun. It's very big. It's huge flavor on the palate. But then you tasted it. Yeah. It's a whiskey that makes sense. The whole package makes sense, not just the nose. It's very better. Like some people like sherried whiskeys to be sweet, like sweet. Yeah, exactly. Whereas this one's much more like the seaweed leaf that goes around a sushi roll. Like it's like that kind of umami going on in this. Yeah, a little bit of acidity. Yeah.
Matt Bailey was wrong.
He was wrong. What did I get wrong? What happened?
This is much more like a mullet, not umami, muddy mullet. Or
Mullet
like
whiskey.
Mullet, yeah, mullet.
I mean, that's a call. That's a big call. Mullet whiskey. Apparently, I'm wrong. It's not umami at all. It's mullet. No. I'm coming back into my new romantics phase. Remember my 2018 cut? I can be. It's called old age. Yeah, it's the Melbourne cut. Yeah. What Rebecca's trying to say is I'm getting better looking with age. I get it. I get that all the time. What's that? I don't care who appreciates it. I appreciate it. That's all that matters. In general. I have to look at me.
Black Forest.
Black Forest. Yeah. Whose tasting note was that? All right, well.
Next time, just for the markets, if you have. No, I will do. I want to do a smaller size. I don't want to do a small size. And then we'll limit.
Just responding to Jesse Morgan's comment. Ballots are already in my nightmare. I don't want to start throwing names out of a hat. Thank you, Mark. Whiskey's my jam. 107.24 oven ready movement is correct. And so which whiskey is more popular out of the Slow Sapid Surrender and Picnic Ball? It's actually the Slow Sapid Surrender was way more popular in terms of the crowd here tonight. That was definitely the pick of the two. So yeah. Thank you, Whiskey is my jam. Alecky was in other blends such as Glen Campbell and White Heather. I'm not sure it was in White Heather for a very long time though. I remember reading about that. I think it was only maybe 6 or 7 years it sort of made its way into that blend. But Glen Campbell, I didn't remember at all. Thank you. But it was in 100 Pipers and it was in Passport. Two much cheaper blends that Pernod used to run. I don't know what those brands are doing anymore. I'm sure they still exist somewhere on the bottom rack of some supermarket shelf somewhere, but you know, that's the way it goes.
I think we should do a little bit smaller match.
Yeah. A5.
We will do A5 max.
Big shout out to our live stream audience for tuning in. Sorry? Oh, you don't like Matari? It was just Jonathan. He's pulling your face. It zoomed right in on his face. It's fine. I love that he doesn't know I'm using taking these photos, so when he goes through them. Some things never change. I know. I love like we'll never change. It's like we're talking like still like Did you like number 4?
Yes, I did.
You've got expensive taste. Not a fan? I'll keep it. Oh. No, 470, 675. No. There's a rum in there that's 675. Yeah. What time did you want to go to? What's happening? Well, like I'm up to number 6. Oh, Mr. Akers just tuning in now. Good to see you. I'm not actually pouring 46.120, but that's a lovely drop from Outturn upon your recommendation, actually. Are you on number 6? Oh, you've already moved on? All right.
All right. We got
Yeah. Works.
Now, I've already started getting orders in my head. So if anyone is, I'm not pushing you, but if you need to, I do have a pen here.
And you can beat the Outturn queue. You can beat the queue to Outturn this Friday. All of our whiskies go live on the first Friday of every month in Outturn on midday on Friday each month, with the exception of November Outturn, which is halfway through November. We are moving on to the next whiskies, and that means the number 6 in your lineup, which is Cask 16.55. Now, we've got to finish with something peated. We've got to finish with something peated here.
And just by the way, if anyone needed to or wanted to order extra food or whatever, you can sort of let me know, and I can send one of the boys up to get that sorted. So when we finish, it's come through. But just let me know.
This Distillery 16, like to say that they're the oldest distillery in Scotland. You know, every distillery wants to have that line. They want to say they're the oldest distillery in Islay, or the oldest distillery in Scotland, or the first licensed distillery in Speyside, or something like that, because it's a nice little sort of crack of the whip for the marketing team. But there is good evidence to show that this distillery was perhaps one of the first to be distilling, but also not. So it's skeptical. But like record keeping in the early 1700s sucked. So let's put it that way. The paper records and internet database of the 1700s wasn't very good. Their internet wasn't very fast in the 1700s. So this is Hosh Distillery as it was known then. Glen Turret now, but we're actually going to be tasting what is technically called their Big Red Spirit, or their Rudmore Spirit Run, which is roughly translates to Big Red. But this is their peated spirit run out of this distillery. This is a very this is a fascinating spirit out of this distillery, out of 16. They do unpeated runs, they do peated runs. We've had a good mixture of both at the society, readily available. This is not an Islay whiskey. This is a mainland Scotland peated whiskey. It's called Grubbly Magnetic 16.55. And it's instead of that sort of boggy, sort of like Islay peat that you get from some Islay whiskies, you get much more of that sort of farmyard, burning hay, cowpat kind of smoke. Cowpat.
I think it's cow chips.
Cow chips.
Cats are like wet. Chips are dry.
Cow chips. All right. So, look, he's got to stop eating poo. He's a bit of a poo expert here. All right. So, yeah, he knows all of them. Okay, so This distillery for a while was owned by Edrington and was an integral part of Famous Grouse. It isn't anymore. It's now been bought by a fancy glassware company, and they make fancy glass decanters and stuff, and all among other things. But it's still a fantastic distillery. I strongly, personally encourage you to do the tour of this distillery. It's well worth it. It's fantastic distillery to walk around. But this is very much in that sort of like farmyardy kind of spirit, rather than the sort of boggy, damp, wet moss kind of peat that you get out of some sort of like Bemores and Ardbegs and Kalilas and whatnot sometimes. But this is something a bit different to end on tonight. As Matt Wooler said, there are a small amount of these bottlings have been reserved ahead of Friday's Outturn if you want to beat the queue. If you're already a member, it's I'm sure we can look after you, but it's I think I've got 3 or 4 of each tops available. With the exception of the 35 that I brought from my
You want to buy 20 bottles? Done.
But yeah, that's a good run through. This is just a nice little cross section that Matt's picked out with the bar. I just want to do a really special thanks to Matt Wooler and of course Akash from Captain's Balcony here for having us here tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
That applause is mostly for Akash in the venue and about 10% for Matt Wooler, but that's still good. And I do encourage you to come downstairs. Of course, you can say it for now, but I mean, and explore what they have downstairs. They've got a selection of previous Outturns. They've got a selection of partner bar exclusives.
We've got 2 bottles from the coming Outturn as well downstairs. So I can't remember what they are, but they're downstairs.
Oh, there's the Highland Park. The Highland Park's downstairs, I think. And I really appreciate you coming all out tonight to taste a few things with us, to taste the selection from Outturn. It's a nice, cozy room for us to catch up and reconnect because, as I've said at the beginning of a number of tastings, it is one thing to sit in front of a camera and Zoom screen and host tastings for 2.5 years, but it's another thing to actually have people in a room and get together and actually really enjoy whiskey, which is what it's all about. And that's what the gathering's about. So I really appreciate you coming out tonight. So thank you to all of you for being a part of this as well. Thank you.
Now we've had 6 whiskeys, so let's go back to our count again.
Let's go back to the count.
Let's go back. You're missing one again. Number 1. Do we have a favourite on number 1 still?
Duro Cruise. Number one, Duro Cruise.
Number 2. Number 2.
Number 2.
Number 2.
Picnic Pour.
Number 3.
Number 3. Slow set. 3.
We're up to
Number 4. 35. The 26-year-old.
Okay, 4.
Okay. It's good.
Just put their hand up twice.
Number 5. Oven Ready Moomin. One's good. One's sold.
1. Yep.
And 16.55 Grubbly Magnetic. The last one. Hey. It looks like Mr. Ben Nevis won. Looks like the Slow Sapid Surrender won. There you go.
That's one of the cool things as well. No matter what it is that you taste through, they're all so unique that until you discover it, your mood changes on everything. So cool, awesome. Well, look, the kitchen is still open. Is that correct? The kitchen is still open downstairs. You can head on downstairs and rate the bar as well. Remember, it's 10% off everything that's down there. There are orders happening. There's a couple of things still being filled out around the place. Awesome.
Whiskey Wednesdays. There we go.
Wednesdays. Look, we do have other tastings coming up in a couple of weeks. We do have a signature tasting coming up in 2 weeks' time, and of course we will have a schedule on the next Outturn tasting. At this point, there should be another Outturn tasting, but next month is also our anniversary. So we may, in fact, reserve doing a tasting and allow for the anniversary to just really happen. Outside of that, we also have balls on the bar.
Thank you.
Matt,
Oliver, 2 questions.
One, can you tell us more about Snickerdoodle? And 2, where is it? You're celebrating 20 years next month, so anything exciting?
20 years.
Yeah.
Well, 20 years here.
40 next year.
40 next year. 40 next year for the full thing.
Snickerdoodle is cask 46.116 that was picked out by Mark. Well, yeah. You named it. You named it. We picked it out. We picked it out. You named it. We tasted that. The samples of the 46 were tasted by about 150 members around the country. But we love the name that you gave it, and so that's the name we went with. And it's the whole idea behind the gathering cask is something that's sort of fun and shareable. It's not meant to be something that's ridiculously complex or sort of something that's inaccessible or weird or rare. It's just something that's it's $1.49 a bottle in Outturn. It's our malt of the month, and we're really happy that you named it. So thanks again, Mark. That's the Duro for now. I mean, and then 20th anniversary. See, 10th anniversary back in 2012, we bottled a 33.119, which was a 10-year-old Ardbeg cask. In 2017 was our 15 year of our first. No, that's a Whiskey and Almond exclusive. Yeah. I know. He finished that. But look, the 2017 was the Anzac Biscuits and Cricket Bats, which was 15-year-old whiskey for 15 years. But this year we've got a 20-year-old whiskey for 20 years. Price to be announced. TBA, TBC. Distillery, TBC. It is not a 33. I'm sorry. If it was, I'm $15. Look, but there's a 20th anniversary cask coming. Thank you, Oliver. Yeah, there's a 20th anniversary cask. But this year we've gone with 3 casks for the 20th anniversary because 20-year-old whiskey has a fair bit of angel share. So we've gone 3 casks to share around this year. And they will be sold as a trio or individually. I didn't say that. It's on the record. There's 3 casks coming to the 20th anniversary. It's actually the bottlings aren't too expensive because it's an 8 and a 10 and a 20-year-old, and actually 9, 10, and 20. The 9-year-old in that mix is so good. I'm so glad we picked it. We got sent about 60, 65 samples to pick out for 20th anniversary. We locked in on the 20-year-old, but it was the other 2 that we needed to lock away. But we're gonna look. It's all coming together really nice. There's a box. No. He's wrong. He's wrong again. He's what? I already have Alex Moores to do that with. I don't need another one. By the way, I'll tell you something. Oh, what, the bottle? Oh, I don't know yet. I don't know. I mean, probably, yes. We're going to kill off this. We're going to kill this. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.